So when I first started running ads for e-commerce brands, I thought it would be so easy to start scaling from $100 a day in spend to $10,000 a day in spend. Now, 4 years into this, working with 50 plus e-commerce brands spending $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a day on ads and beyond, I have learned the system to properly go about scaling in the most profitable and effective manner. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to scale your ad account to $10,000 a day, spending, yes, $300,000 a day in ad spend, and doing so profitably. First, there's your numbers. Second, there's campaign structure. And third is the creative pipeline and testing cadence. I'm going to walk you through it all so that you can start implementing this into your business and start to see positive results in your ad account. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to know your numbers. This is so vital. Know your numbers. Now, I'm going to break down the main numbers that you want to look at. It starts with CPM, cost per click. We have your conversion rate. We have your average order value. We have your click-through rate. We have your cost per acquisition. We have your lifetime value / lifetime gross profit, and then marketing efficiency ratio. So these numbers are very important to know. And so what I invite you to do is start to look back historically and start to calculate these numbers. So set up a simple Google Sheet and start to look at your numbers for the last 3, 6, 12 months. So cost per milli is basically cost per 1,000 impressions. So it's cost per 1,000. Whoops, not $, 1,000 impressions. Cost per click, that's pretty straightforward. This is how much it costs you to get a unique click. Conversion rate, this is on your website. So what is your Shopify site telling you your conversion rate is? We have your average order value, same thing with Shopify. That's a Shopify metric you should easily pull. Click-through rate, that's the percentage of people that click over impressions. We have your CPA, that's basically your CAC. That's how much it's costing you to get a conversion. We have lifetime value. Usually we look at a 90-day, sometimes 180-day, like a 6-month lifetime value, but 90 days is a nice tight window to look at that. So if you know that maybe you have a supplement or something where people are buying multiple, you can calculate your lifetime value. Your lifetime gross profit is actually lifetime gross profit within there, not just the top line revenue, because basically when we look at cost per acquisition and CPA, there's a ratio to make sure we're profitable there. Marketing efficiency ratio is simply your revenue divided by marketing activities. So that allows you to see more of a holistic perspective on your marketing. Sometimes you can get super granular into here, but if we want to look at it more on a blended scale, then we can look at your marketing efficiency ratio. So these are the numbers that we want to first start with and look at. And we want to ask ourselves, if we start spending $10,000 a day, do these numbers hold up? Most likely they will not hold up if you just simply scale the budget. As you scale the budget, it's very natural to see your CPMs to rise. It's natural to see your cost per click to increase. It's very natural to see your conversion rate dip. Your average order value, that might stay constant or it might take a dip. Your click-through rate, that might take a dip. Your CPA, that might increase. Your lifetime value, that might decrease. Your marketing efficiency ratio might be less efficient. So it's very important to know that, okay, the current metrics that you're seeing in your ad account, if we scale, we'll probably see a dip in efficiency in the short run. So we need to know how to weather that storm. And that's why we never scale a campaign or scale ads that are just barely profitable. We really want to figure out on a lower budget what ads are super profitable for us, knowing that efficiency will likely dip. So if I'm currently seeing CPAs of $25, which are profitable for me, because I know that my average order value, let's say, is $50 AOV. Let's say my COGS, cost of goods sold, on this is $10. Then I know my break-even CPA is $40. So if you're currently seeing $25, that's good because that's pretty damn profitable. And if we scale up, we know that your ceiling to profitability is this $40 metric. So that's why we want to create these guardrails to basically know, okay, great, you might be profitable on a lower spend, but let's see what your true guardrails are. So you'll look at basically your break-even CPA. You might even want to incorporate lifetime value if you're trying to scale more aggressively. Some brands we work with are fine being break-even or might not even be profitable on the front end because they know a certain amount of customers come back and buy, and they know lifetime value. A customer is worth a lot more than just that first purchase. So you can set up front-end benchmarks. Basically, this is just like front-end profitability, and then you can look at 90-day profitability. This is more looking at a 90-day lifetime value. Let's say 10, 20% of people come back and buy. So let's say your 90-day LTV is $60. Your cost of goods sold will grow congruent to that. So it'll be $12. So now your break-even CPA is $48. So you've opened up a little bit of margin there to acquire customers a little bit more expensive. But again, I really want to encourage you to try to be first purchase profitable as much as possible, but you can kind of open it up if you know that customers are coming back and buying within the first 90 days. So now that we know basically the data, we know the benchmarks, we know what to track, now let's go about the campaign structure. Hey, real quick, if you want our team to sit down with you and figure out the bottlenecks in your marketing that's preventing your e-commerce brand from scaling, then I invite you to book a one-on-one call with me personally to walk through your ad account and figure out the bottlenecks and why you aren't scaling. I'll leave a link down below to book your core growth session with us. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, campaign structure. This is very important to understand because in 2025, it's actually pretty simple from a campaign structure standpoint on how we actually set up these campaigns and get them ready for scale. Now, let's say you already know your front end offer, you know what offer is going to be working. So basically from the testing standpoint, and what I'm going to outline is like one offer. We usually recommend for an e-commerce brand, one hero offer. That might take time to test and figure out what winning offer is going to be scalable. But if you're spending $100, $200 a day and you are profitable right now, you probably know what offer is actually working. So we have two campaigns, very simple. We have your scaling campaign and we have your testing campaign. Two campaigns in the ad account that allow us to start to test. And then once those ads that are winners, we can basically graduate them up to the scaling campaign. So for the testing campaign, on the campaign level, we have testing. This is going to be an ad set budget optimized campaign. That means you control the spend on the ad set level versus the campaign level. On the scaling campaign, that's where we have a CBO, where we let Meta basically spend on the winning ads, because in this campaign, the scaling campaign, we should only have winning ads, which I'll cover here in a second. So you have a testing campaign, you have ad set budget optimization on, you have your winning audience on the ad set level. So you should know like basically what your winning audience is. For most e-commerce brands, it's pretty broad. Maybe you do some gender targeting or some age targeting. And then you'll have 5 ads here. So you have ad 1, ad 2, ad 3, ad 4, ad 5. And then with each ad, you want 2 primary texts and 2 headlines, okay? So now you've set up the campaign. This is the testing budget. We recommend on the ad set level, probably the minimum spend is spend $50 a day on this, just so we can start to see data come through. Eventually over time, you only want 10 to 20% of your budget going towards testing, because you have to think about it this way. When you're testing, you're naturally going to see a lot of losers. You're going to spend on losing ads. The whole goal is to test to find winners. So at the start, you might have your testing budget be more so like 50 to 60% of your budget. Don't freak out when you start to see a dip in efficiency. The whole goal is to find those winners that can scale and start to get more spend that will eventually recoup your lost advertising budget in those losing ads. So very important to note there. So let's say you're spending, $200 a day currently. I would start to spend, $50 a day on testing. So that's, 25% is a little bit higher, but as you start to scale, let's say you're spending $500 a day. Then maybe you spend, keep it at 50 or, $100, and basically the majority of your budget should go towards scaling and towards those winning ads so we are profitable. And then lastly, just to go back to the scaling campaign. So basically once we get winners in the testing campaign, we'll basically graduate them up to the scaling campaign, which is a CBO with your winning audience. And the CBO should have a bunch of your winning ads. These are all winning ads that have already gone through the testing process, and we feel confident in putting more spend behind them. So basically you'd start with the testing, find the winning ads, and then graduate them up to the scaling campaign. The reason why it's difficult to scale your brand and scale your ad budget is basically we have to look at this graph. So we have time on the x-axis and ROAS on the y-axis. So what happens is at first with your ads, they'll start to look really good over time. They'll start to get efficient, they start to go up, and then they plateau and fizzle out. This is because of creative fatigue. So sometimes you can get an ad that just cranks and just works and just can stay live. But over time, as more people start to see it, they get fatigued with your ads. So you constantly need to find new winners. So the goal here is to find new winners to kind of ride this wave, right? And then you kind of kill them once they start to see that dip in efficiency. So you kill it here, and you're constantly getting new ads in the ad account to keep scaling here. So as you can see, the trend is upward, but this is basically ad by ad. You'll see a winning ad, scaled it up. It'll start to fatigue, start to die out. Same thing. Okay, we got a new one, but it's important to kind of catch the timing here. If you catch the timing correctly, you can always have a new winning ad hitting here, so we are ultimately profitable. That is the ultimate goal of scaling properly. Okay, so how do we actually do that? We need to build a creative pipeline to constantly be testing in the ad account. If you want to scale, you can't be relying on one creative. You might have one creative right now that's just working, that's just generating great results. But the reality is we need to find new ads every single week to keep scaling and stay on this trajectory. Usually you want to get into a testing cadence. So once a week, you should have ads that are being created and then ads that are getting tested, because in the testing budget, usually you want to test an ad for about 3 to 7 days, depending on the data. If it's non-conclusive after 3 days, let it test a few more days and then start to kill or graduate up winners. And with e-commerce brands, it does take time to develop creative, especially if you're using UGC creators, influencers, you're doing photo shoots, video shoots. You need to make sure that everything is working together and within timeline, so you can have the ad creation process in line with the testing process, so you're not looking at your creative team as a bottleneck or anything as a bottleneck. So it's important to just basically look at your calendar and start to schedule out all the times you're creating new ads, getting them live in the ad account, and then the testing process. So to start, if you already see some winning ads in your ad account, then you can simply start by that winning ad angle. So you have the winning ad, and now you can start to just create more variations of this. I think this is a very easy layout for you to do to just start seeing better results. So you already have a winning ad, maybe it's a script, maybe it's a creator. So things you can do is you can keep the same exact scripts, same exact structure, and then you could test basically new creators if you're using UGC. If it's like graphics, you can do different color backgrounds and just basically create variations of what's actually winning, and then basically create other ad angles that are similar, or basically new tests that you want to get in your ad account. At the beginning, I recommend just trying to create as many winning ads that are, you already know something's working, so constantly create new versions of that. And that's why it's so important to always have a network of creators, UGC creators, as well as, video editors, designers, graphic designers that are just able to crank these ads out for you at all times so you can start to scale. Number one, winning ads. Test winning ad versions. These should be very similar to what's already working. Number two is test new angles. So this could be totally new scripts, totally new graphics, totally new stills, right? These are just totally new ideas you want to get tested, because eventually, the winning ad angle, even if you do tons of variations, you still want to have new winners that are totally new angles for your ad account. So we've created a winning ad and test a new angle, and then probably 3, I'd test one more new angle. If you can do this on a weekly basis, where you have basically a variation of winning ad and then 2 new variations of totally new ideas and concepts, that will allow you to figure out what's going to be working and what can actually scale up to the scaling campaign. Every single angle, same thing like I discussed up here. They should have 2 primary headlines, 2 primary texts. So with these 3 here, these 3 angles, you have your winning angle, you have your test 1 angle, you have your test 2 angle. Each angle should have 3 hooks, because obviously the hook is the most important thing to actually stop the scroll. If you want to, you can have 2 bodies, so the bodies will be different, but just the headlines are. So you might have 2 bodies as well. So body, 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 body. You can kind of see how this kind of comes down. And before you know it, you have plenty of ads to start testing in your ad set testing campaign. So with just 3 angles every single week with varying headlines, varying bodies, and varying primary text, you will have 50, 70 plus variations in your ad account to start testing. Now, on the ad set level, you should basically have, you can break out 3 ad sets here. So each one of these could be its own ad set within testing. Give them each $50. And then put the different ads within that ad set to start testing. So every single week you should be doing this. These should be ruthless cadence. So you need to make sure that you coordinate with your creator team, with any agencies you're working with, to make sure that you always have a nice pipeline of creative that's winning and new tests that you want to get in your ad account, because eventually you might find these new tests, you might find new winners that can eventually graduate up to the scaling campaign. See, the issue with most brands is that they only test like 1 or 2 ads a week. You need to be testing way more ads and do so in a scientific method. You want to make sure these are great ideas. You put thought, you put energy, you put a bunch of time into these, so that you're not just you don't want to just test a bunch of ads. You need to make sure that you're looking at the data like we already discussed and make new creatives based upon those guided benchmarks. So this is the exact system that that we build out for e-commerce brands through our core growth system, where we come onto a brand and handle your creative done for you. We manage your ads done for you, and also build out landing pages to increase that conversion rate like we discussed. If you're interested in learning more and potentially having our team build this out for you so you don't need to waste time, money, and energy on this system, then I invite you to book a call down below. I do also have a 60-day growth roadmap. This basically goes over a week-by-week cadence on how to optimize your Shopify brand and improve everything from your acquisition side to your retention, to your email, to your conversion rate, and how we actually build this out for brands just like yours. So you can grab that 60-day blueprint roadmap down below as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want more trainings just like this, make sure to subscribe, leave a thumbs up so I know that you like this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.